The mud of judgment had dried into plains of black soil and broken stone. The valleys still remembered the violence of the deep, and for the families picking through the debris, survival felt like a daily negotiation with a hostile wilderness. These small camps lived in a state of constant exposure. Their crops were fragile, their herds were vulnerable, and every isolated tent was a target for anyone stronger and hungrier. Among the sons of Noah, the garments of skin, the sign that only God could cover human shame, remained a preserved testimony. But Ham watched. In secret, he took that witness and converted it into private advantage, passing the skins to Cush as a hidden instrument of lineage power. What God had given as a sign of mercy became a secret asset. By the time the garments reached Nimrod, they were no longer a reminder of dependence on the Creator, but a stolen badge of authority. When Nimrod put on the skins, he did not look like a survivor. He looked like an answer. He stood among his brethren with the confidence of a man who believed heaven had placed force directly into his hands. He hunted the wild beasts that threatened the settlements, and he offered what he killed before the Lord. To the people he appeared violent yet sacred, dangerous yet useful. As Nimrod's strength grew, the people's eyes moved from the rainbow in the clouds to the man in the field. They looked to the mighty hunter as their covering, trusting the arm of flesh wrapped in a stolen testimony. This is how kingdoms are first welcomed. They do not arrive as rebellions against God. They arrive as solutions to the fear of man. Nimrod realized that fear can be gathered faster than grain. He saw that while a single family could grow a harvest, they could not keep it if a stronger neighbor decided to take it. He offered a trade. Bring your increase within my walls. Store your grain near my men. Give tribute, and I will give protection. This map shows the birth of the protection economy. Families began to concentrate their wealth behind Nimrod's stone. He raised cities as reservoirs of stored labor, calculating wealth by what a center could extract from surrounding families and hold behind a gate. Storehouses rose. Watchtowers followed. The village had been replaced by an engine designed to gather, count, and defend the increase of the many for the use of the one. This centralization created its own demands. Victory required officers. Officers required wages. Wages required systematic tribute. To keep the city safe, Nimrod had to convert emergency defense into a permanent administration. He hired men beyond blood loyalty, training them for battle and strengthening their hearts with the promise of total conquest. Defense was no longer a community effort. It was a professional payroll. From this payroll emerged a new logic. We must take in order not to be taken. A nearby people with fertile land or cattle became a threat to be subdued before they could grow strong enough to resist. This loop became the kingdom's heartbeat. Centralized wealth paid for the force. The force was expanded to seize more wealth, and the new wealth justified an even larger force to defend it. Nimrod had successfully organized violence into a managed asset. He took children as security and turned defeated enemies into taxable assets, fueling a machine that fed on its own expansion. One evening, Nimrod stood above a city that had become a loud industrial furnace. Below him, metal rang and orders echoed. Grain was being measured by candlelight, while children of the conquered slept under guard. The people had completed a great exchange. The farmer gave his tribute so his children were safe from raiders. The craftsman armed the city, so the city preserved his trade. They had traded their freedom for a seat at the bottom of a ladder of officers, judges, and princes. Within these walls, life without the king's structure became unimaginable. To the city dweller, the wilderness was no longer a place of God's provision, but a dark void that would consume them the moment the protection of the state was withdrawn. By building this ladder of human intermediaries, Nimrod created an order that functioned without the need for God. Before a single brick of the great tower was laid, the architecture of Babel was already complete in the hearts of men who preferred the safety of a system to the risk of faith. Nimrod understood that his security was a shadow. His city was only rich as long as others remained plunderable. He was only unified as long as fear remained useful. He stood atop his battlements, crowned in stolen glory, watching the torchlight of his drilling ranks. He had not removed the post-flood violence. He had simply scaled it. This was the first kingdom, a system that demanded the world's loyalty by promising to save humanity from the very violence it was actively creating. Nimrod did not end the curse, he organized it.